Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Movies by the Letter. I'm Jonathan. To my right is my good friend, Carter.
Hello, everyone. Follow me on Letterboxd.
At the head of the table across from me is Nich.
At Mr. Blister.
Hello. Oh, you're just gonna interrupt me now? Okay. Hello.
And those are the two.
Mr. Blister,
So,
Letterboxd.
Today is
And,
December
on Instagram
21st.
At Mr. Blister.
What we're not going to do is talk over each other during this because that doesn't make for good podcasting.
Well, you interrupted both of us.
You're trying to do shameful
It's a
plugs
disaster already.
before
Oh, yeah, we should probably
we
plug
even
it.
start. The plugs are at the end.
Okay.
Never.
At the end?
All right,
Okay,
plugs
I
at the
can
end.
Shameless
I can deal with
plugs.
that.
Then what was I supposed to say?
Shameless plugs don't come in the beginning of the podcast.
What's our first film?
What was your joke moment?
Those will
Our
be
first
once
film.
we get our sponsorships.
I
Those
said,
will go
what
at the
is our
beginning.
first film?
We don't.
Well, no, I have to
premise
explain the
yet.
premise
Yeah.
of our
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
first. Literally everyone listening to this will be a new listener,
Okay. Here we
unless it's nuts to the future and they're coming back and want to go through the catalog.
go. Are we
backwards.
starting it over?
No,
There you
this
go.
is this is
Two.
this is the whole thing.
Okay.
So, movies by the letter.
Kill him.
We got 3 guys here each week. We're gonna do 3 movies. But the catch, the gimmick, is that they all start with the same letter that we've chosen via random letter generator. And for week 1, we got the letter D. D is in dog. Dog is some may or may not be foreshadowing. So, we start with the first D, is mine. That's Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee joint. Basic premise of this one is we're in Brooklyn, got a lot of different cultures clashing, and all hell breaks loose.
By a lot, you mean 4?
It's more than 4
What
cultures.
are the 4 cultures?
I don't know. There's white people.
We don't want to
Well-
get canceled already, all right? Let's be
I'm
careful.
just
All
saying.
right,
I'm just saying.
let's
that.
rank
Culture
the
and
cultures.
culture and race.
Culture.
Culture and race are different things.
All right, we're ranking the cultures
We're not
from best to
we're
worst.
not doing that.
First episode.
White is last.
All right, well, let's
White is
start.
last.
But yeah, there's a heat wave going on, and it's a movie about cultural clash, basically.
Yes.
So it's seeing as it's my movie and I've seen it. This is my second time seeing it. I want to get your guys' thoughts
All right.
on it.
I guess
So,
I'll start first.
Nick starts.
I really loved it. Oh no, there is.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's it.
But why? Why
It's-
did you love it?
I think the characters really sell this movie. Like, there's so many memorable characters. Like,
Yeah, name one.
Da Mayor.
Da
My
Mayor
personal
is a good
favorite
one.
is Da Mayor.
He's great.
He's just a homeless guy that gets constantly drunk.
He gets drunk, but he's like
also a
he has a
superhero.
heart of gold.
He
he's a
does have
pill.
heart
He's the
of gold.
pillar of the community. He's the moral voice.
Yeah.
Other than Sam Jackson, who's like literally the moral voice in this
Yeah.
movie.
He saves that one
Sam
kid.
Jackson is more like the director's voice of like this is what the movie is about.
Yes.
pretty much.
Yes. So, glad you liked it. What are your thoughts, Carter?
I also loved it. I thought it was incredibly enjoyable. I like to keep a movie's, I don't know, I guess cultural significance out of reviews because, I mean, there's obviously...
Because you're a
You're
closet
racist.
racist.
No,
Okay.
obviously there's plenty of very important, significant films that have been made that will always stand as greats because, you know, in that point of time they served some significance, but I don't know, if your review is your own personal opinion, I think you should generally try to ignore that and just look at the film on its own merits. And I quite enjoyed...
Amen. Wow.
I quite enjoyed Do the Right Thing. I thought it was excellent. I think the characters are incredibly fun to watch. I like the way the movie presented its message. It's not really preachy. And when it is preachy, it feels natural. It feels like something the characters would do. And I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing film.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I was gonna. No one had brought that up. Yeah, I was
The
gonna.
And,
colors in this movie.
Because I think this movie
very
is
bright, colorful.
so fun to look at.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Constantly.
It really is. It's a blast. And then it turns into not a blast.
That movie,
There's a shift in this
that movie
Yes.
has a
There's
incredibly turn.
Are we doing spoilers?
Yes.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
movie
Okay.
is from the 70s. If you haven't seen it,
Yeah,
that's your
go
fault.
watch all
And
of these
obviously,
films before you
before
watch
you-
80s.
No, it's 80s. It's late 80s.
I guess I'm miseducated then and an idiot.
Jeez, okay.
But yeah, no,
We should
obviously.
probably look up what year the movies
Yeah,
are from
before-
before
we
we...
actually don't
It's
know
late
anything
80s.
about this movie.
Yeah, we actually didn't
see
even
it.
watch it.
Alright,
We
I
watched
got
the trailer.
Obviously, before you listen to this podcast, if anyone is listening to this,
Watch the movie.
watch the movies, because in order to have meaningful discussions about it, we have to discuss the plot.
Yeah, and
Or don't.
Unless you don't
and just
care.
get it all spoiled for
Let-
you like
Yeah.
an idiot.
Or just if you don't want to actually watch it.
1989. He was almost
89.
2 full decades off.
Well, 79, that could be like
Wow,
10
whatever.
it could
years,
be.
Well, whatever.
technically.
Um,
But yeah, I think the first time I saw this movie, I think I watched the DVD version of it in my film class, because
ooh,
I'm a real genius. I'm a genius now.
Yeah,
So
real.
you guys
yeah,
could,
I don't need to take
you guys
a
could
class. I
learn.
already
You guys
know.
could learn a couple things from me.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, we watched it in DVD form, and even then I thought it was very interesting to look at. But, like, the Blu-ray edition, the colors just
they really
popped,
popped.
like-
Shout out to Criterion.
yeah. Shout out to Criterion. Yeah, enough
Still waiting
said.
for my petition to get through.
Your Freddy got fingered.
Yes, my Freddy Got Fingered petition.
We'll be doing a Freddy got fingered
Oh, I hope so.
petition. We're shouting that out. Go check.
Go on Criterion. None of us have seen it, but we want it.
Yes.
We want it on Criterion. We're
I'm
not
only
watching
gonna
it.
see it when it's on
We're not
Criterion.
watching it
Once
until
we
we
get
can
to,
read a book.
if we ever
about
if we
the
ever get
movie.
to F, you
If
better
we get
believe
F,
course.
we're watching Freddy got fingered.
I'm easily going to choose that first.
But yeah,
It's gonna
let's
be a race to see who can pick F
Freddy Got
first.
Fingered.
let's stick to the movies we actually watch.
All right, so do the right thing.
Yeah, at the end.
Do you?
Does anyone wanna go-
I want to. No. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think Mookie did the right thing?
I
And what are
don't.
your thoughts? 'Cause
Uh,
I have a take on this.
That really does get
I
me
appreciated that the movie really didn't take a stance on whether Mookie did the right thing. In fact, when we already said spoiler alert.
Yes,
right?
we did.
All right. When the credits roll and the Martin Luther King quote comes
And,
up, I immediately was like, "Well, this is dumb because it's just saying the message of the movie."
I
pretty
think
much.
I really like.
But then,
I like that.
but then
The
the,
picture.
Malcolm X quote came up, and I was like, "Okay, it's showing both sides of
Mhm,
the coin," which is what the
100%
movie
with you.
did the
Yes.
entire time,
I think-
and I appreciated that.
The mayor works as the Martin Luther King approach, as trying to be more peaceful.
Mhm.
But by the end, Mookie is just full Malcolm X movement. He wants
Maybe Mother Sister
And I think-
is more of the Mother X because
Mother
she's all
X.
Yeah,
yeah Malcolm X.
but she
Mother
is a mother.
X. She is Mother X.
She is Mother X.
And
and-
I think that's important because, as you see in the picture of them together, only like when those two, like
Work together.
when those two ways of protest work together, it's the only way it'll work. Like you can't
Yes.
go too far on either side. However, you think Mookie didn't do the right thing? I think he did, because what I think he was doing was he was directing attention away from the people. He thought that they were going to attack the Italians.
It's
So he threw that. He didn't look at it like he was pretty emotionless about doing it. Like watching that the second time, I further cemented it to me because the mob was coming towards the Italians, and I think he was like, okay, I need to stop this. So he threw that through there.
I'm gonna have to disagree with. Well, I just don't believe that was his purpose in doing that. I think it was the entire movie. Mookie's kind of not really taking a stance on anything involving any of his coworkers, even the I believe Pino.
Pino. Spanish.
Well, whatever. Pino's,
Whatever.
Oh wow.
Cancel alert. Cancel alert. That's a soundboard.
Pino's character, even when he's uninhibitedly racist, Mookie doesn't really take a stand on it. So I think that was the final moment where he decided, I'm going to take a stand against this. And that was the moment where he decided to do the right thing and finally act out against what he thought was racism.
Well, it's like,
I just think he saw the situation for what it was, that it wasn't these people's fault. They weren't the ones really being racist. You know?
That's an interesting take.
Everyone's
he drops
okay.
the hard R.
I think the point of this movie is that everyone in this city is racist. The city is is boiling over. The heat is making the heat is symbolic of the tension. I think Mookie sees that he's one of the most level-headed people in this, and I think he's like, okay, this violence doesn't need to be perpetrated against these people. This mob is angry no matter what. They're gonna do something. I don't want them to any more death tonight or injury. This is the only way to distract them. You know what I mean?
I do not.
I think
get
that's
why.
an interesting
That's my
perspective.
That
That
is-
isn't
I
how
see
I
it.
interpreted it, but I think that could add another layer to.
It could add another way to Mookie's character.
because I don't
took
think
that
I
as
don't
him
think
taking a final stand against his employers.
But what were they besides Pino? The other two were with him. You know what I mean?
Tries getting with his sister though, so that could.
Yeah, but
Sal shows shady characteristics.
He does show shady
and
characteristics.
he
and
does.
drops a
He
hard
blows
R
up at the end.
I agreed, but
And
that's because
indirectly leads to Radio's death, which could also.
yes, but I think the point of that was that it wasn't the Italians' fault. There, it was the police's fault too.
Obviously.
They were in their shop doing this, causing mayhem.
That is also
These
true.
That is also true.
These Italian Americans don't need to put black people on their wall. You know what I mean?
I agree with
You
that,
sound
and
racist.
I also agree with.
I don't think he should have smashed the radio.
Oh god. no.
100%. I don't. But things were escalating there.
I think
It was blown
as
up.
soon as he
yes.
starts saying the N word with the hard R and resorting to violence, it all just blows
Well,
up.
yeah, but you see, all these people are using these words. Everyone's using words for everyone else.
I would say.
I would say, just because other people do it, it's not.
That's.
okay.
But I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying I think the point of this movie was, especially with the scene
people.
where you see all the racist monologues, is to show
Yeah.
that this is universal.
One thing I appreciated about the
this
movie.
This movie didn't take sides.
Yes.
Yes, it didn't take sides, and I also appreciate it didn't have one of the worst parts of I don't know what to call it, like race movies
Woke
or
movies.
woke movies
Race-baiting movies.
is the obnoxiously, overtly racist character.
That I was.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And-
this movie. I think almost every character, there are times in which you want to root for them.
Like even the police. at
I
some
think the
point
only
in
character that I think is full out one of the only ones I think is full out bad is Pino.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to root for him.
It's hard to root for
sometimes.
Pino, and I think sometimes it's hard to root for.
Even the guy who got his car hose down. I mean, I would
I
be
was
pretty
really-
pissed
Well, yeah.
off too.
But,
I'd
like,
like this too.
I think
honestly.
I think he's one end of the coin. I think Spazzing Out was his name. The
Bugging out.
Bugging Out.
Bugging out. Yeah.
I think he's the other end of the coin. Those are two people who are unwavering in their opinions.
Yeah, two extremes.
They're the extremes, and I think those are the only two. Everyone, I found myself rooting for Sal because I think he clearly he shows love for these people. But his only thing is when people come into his store and start causing ruckus in his place of business. That is what his life has been built on. That's
Because-
when he has a problem.
At the end,
Because throughout that,
And I think he's allowed to have a problem with that.
we haven't mentioned this yet. This movie takes place over the course of one day.
One day.
Yes.
And really, Sal deals with people's shit the entire
Yeah,
day,
just one day.
nonstop.
It's
And I
almost
think
like-
his explosion at the end, but with breaking the radio, was just the culmination of all that
Agreed.
anger and frustration built up. He had to deal with his kids messing
Fighting.
up everything
Mookie
and constantly fighting. Mookie being the worst
the worst
employee of all
Let's
employee.
be honest, they're all the worst employee of
But
all
Mookie
time.
takes it to another level.
Mookie takes 3 hours
take
for his-
3 hours.
and
And then,
30
and, then, and then
minutes.
he complains that he
His
has to
job is
stay a
unfair.
little longer.
Mookie, he's
easily
he's
the worst employee of all
bad.
time.
He's bad all around. You know what I mean? Besides being very level-headed, he's a terrible
He's a terrible
brother. He's a terrible
never
father. It's just clear that he's
Quite honestly,
Quite
the
honestly, that baby's
the
dead,
least morally corrupt person in this film is probably DeMayer.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
And
He has a
DeMayer,
drinking problem, and maybe he abandoned his kids.
it's
It's
implied
mentioned.
he has a kind of rough, rocky
Yes, yeah.
background. And, I mean, Martin Luther King even had a pretty rough background. I mean, There were the allegations that he beat his wife and
And his old tweets resurfaced.
Yeah.
Surface, oh boy.
something about gay people.
Don't
Oh, sorry
talk
about Kevin
Sorry,
Hart.
Mr. King.
Kevin Hart. From the King. What's the difference?
Mr. Hart.
That was a joke.
Dead air.
I also like there's
We'll cut that part.
there's
out.
so many little like subplots in this movie going on. And there's so many things going on, but I think it all connects together so well.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
it could have
does.
been it could
There's a
have been
good
easy
flow.
for this to be very disjointed in the amount of things it's trying to sell and the amount of characters it has. Like it has the amount of characters that you'd see a TV show, like a Game of Thrones style TV show, but it compiles it all into 120 minutes. And it's very tight, it all flows together, it's coherent, and like all the characters are lovable and fun. It's funny.
I
This
don't-
movie's there's
it's
times
really
it's hilarious.
I don't know if you guys got this vibe too. Did you get like a stage play esque vibe?
Yes, because
to it?
one location does seem like a stage play.
I want to talk about this too, because
Which kind of reminds me of another movie
what I
we are going to discuss.
what I read about this and what I learned in class is that Spike Lee wanted it known that this is a movie. Like he wanted that, like you see in the opening credits, like that's very clearly a stage. Which those
Yeah.
opening credits are awesome.
Yes.
I
Is
think.
that Tina dancing?
Yeah, that's Tina dancing.
Okay.
Because while this movie is showing how cultures are clashing, he wanted to show that in order to make this movie, all these cultures had to come together. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
think
good.
so? You think about that point, and I think like that's why he wanted it to look very like you wanted to make it. This is a production. This is art. Like we all had to come together to do this. It's all love here.
One thing
I mean-
that we haven't talked about yet is we've talked a lot about how fun the movie is. There's a lot of really funny moments. There's a lot of really funny characters. A lot of the jokes are really landed for me.
It's really.
It's more. There's
Sweet
less
Dick Will.
jokes with like
It's
punch,
just
like
character,
setups and
funny
punch
characters.
Yeah.
It's more like the characters are so enjoyable, and they're not even necessarily natural,
Sweet
but
Dick
they're just
Willie.
like
Sweet Dick Willie.
He-
might be
there's a
He's
flow
so
to
funny.
them that it's excellent, and
He's constantly funny.
it feels like you're hanging out with your friends a lot of the
Yeah.
movie.
It's like a
and
hangout movie.
It's such like you
it's
can
a hangout
tell.
movie with a message.
Yeah.
You can tell that this is like a community. Like the scene that really did that for me is when Pino and Sal are sitting. You can see through the window.
Yes, I was
You
about
can
to
see
bring
the,
up that
the fruit stand across, and you're like, oh, over there is where Sweet Dick Willie sits.
Yeah.
There's the vegetable shop. Here's that. Like this is such a tight community, and it shows like there's a sense of like everyone knows each other, but it's also easy to see like why this tight community clashes.
There really isn't a lot of, I don't know, narrative drive to the film. There's
I
not
was
like
about to
much of a
mention that.
story.
Yeah.
There's no, but it's never boring, and that's because the characters are so enjoyable to watch.
I
And
think
there
the
is
main-
like there's
main-
a rhythm to the film.
The main thread is the pictures on the wall and the boycotts. But that is almost
yeah,
like
but
rarely brought up.
It's not
Yeah,
like a
it's not like-
constantly developing story where you learn new things, and
Yeah.
it's more like
A plot.
learn about this community, and then an event happens, and you understand, you believe that this event would happen based on everything that's been gathered
Yeah.
throughout.
I think the best part of this movie is there basically is no plot, so you're just watching these characters live their life.
It's very
Which can be incredibly boring, but
but
it's
this-
not because the
yes.
characters are
and I think
fantastic.
the writing in
Yes.
this is so great. I
It is
think
really great.
like every it seems very like authentic. Like you can tell that all the writing is
yeah,
authentic.
it's
to
witty,
each,
it's fast,
to each race,
it's funny.
each culture. It's all very authentic. Like you can tell that.
You
There's
can
a
tell
lot of
that
effort
Spike
put
Lee
into that.
cared.
Yeah, he obviously like. Well, I would hope he cared about his own movie.
So,
No, there's movies where you can see he does
Okay.
not care.
so,
Jexy.
so,
Did Spike Lee make Jexy?
Maybe Google this.
so,
You're
you're watching the movie, you're having a great time, you're laughing, you're joking around, you're cracking jokes.
Even up until the pizza scene.
until things start to culminate and Sal snaps,
Once-
as we've mentioned.
As he
Sal,
smashes the record player, that's the shift.
Sal
right there.
freaks
It's very
out,
late in the movie.
It's
smashes. What was his name?
Radio Raheem.
Yeah, Radio Raheem. Smashes Radio Raheem, it's been established he has some anger problems. Radio
I think-
Raheem.
Unpopular opinion, he might be my least favorite character. He was the
Nah.
least developed.
Because
I like Raider Rahim. He didn't need to. I think he was the mysterious character.
yeah,
Now
I
that
think
I'm thinking back, he does have some pretty great scenes
The
with
love-hate
Mookie.
scene is one of my favorites.
Yes, that scene is
in the
very
movie.
burnt into my-
Yeah.
It's fine. But the
fine.
love-hate
That's
scene,
what we
I
do
love.
here.
I
Yeah.
love the love-hate scene. I think I like how stoic he is and
He is
how
very.
he's another one who's just unwavering in his opinion.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I think Radio Rahim and Sal are kind of two sides of the
Yeah,
same
because
coin.
they both
in that
understand love.
both are stoic. Both, I don't think, in their heart are racist people or are hateful or violent people. But I think both of them reached their boiling point in that moment. Because the whole movie, Radio Rahim had been taking shit from people for playing his radio.
I mean,
the whole movie.
some of it was
I mean,
warranted.
He was blasting it.
warranted. In the same side of that coin, some of Sal's crap.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, Sal did flirt with Mookie's little girl.
He's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
To be
Mookie
honest,
was
Mookie
flirting
was
with
being-
his little sister
Let's not
too.
talk about that.
No, let's talk about
But
it.
I
Let's
like-
talk about the opening scene of the
Jesus.
movie.
I
It's
didn't think it was
Mookie
that sexual.
Tickle. I thought he kissed her on the neck.
I did
don't
too.
know. I
Oh, he just
might
was
have
resting.
imagined that.
He was just resting there.
I was like, oh, a nice couple. And he's like, yeah, no problem, sis. I was like, wait, what?
No, they're
No, she said something like my brother, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe
My
they're
brother.
not. But then, no, they're related. It's incredibly creepy.
I didn't think it was creepy. But
Yeah.
And
You kissed your
Jonathan
sister?
came in with the movie trivia. That's his real sister.
Real sister.
Yes.
So extra creepy layer there.
But what I want to say is, again, going back to the Radio Rahim and his radio, like as, if you want to use an analogy, whatever here, as Sal is to his pizzeria, Radio Rahim is to his radio. Like
Yes.
what is his matters to him. So when that got destroyed, like, it makes sense. You see the parallels, like his thing gets destroyed, then Sal's thing gets destroyed.
Yeah, ironically.
So they're both very big
Mhm.
characters. They're
Violence
big
begets
presence.
Yeah, ironically too, both of those characters are the most tolerant of people's crap throughout the movie as well.
Yeah.
Because other characters kind of do mini snaps throughout, but with them, it both bottles inside of them until they finally explode at the end. In a scene where the tone of the movie completely shifts, and
Yeah,
we were all watching,
I
we were
was
laughing,
gauging-
we were cracking jokes, and then everyone just went silent for pretty much until the
rest
end
of
of
the
the
movie,
film.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I don't think that
I knew it was the first time I watched it. My reaction was like as soon as the radio smacked, the way that scene escalates is like
It's great.
is one of the best things I've seen like in a movie, like in movie escalation. Like it's so well done.
Yeah,
The whole movie is escalation, but like that scene in particular really like from when they walk in there to like when he pins that picture on the wall, it escalates so well.
That's when I
like-
realized I love this movie, is because I realized, because the whole movie's escalating, but you don't notice it because you're having such a great time. But when that happened, it kind of hit me
Snaps.
what the message of the film is
Yeah.
and how well executed the whole film was. And I think that's why it's become this major cultural symbol
Yeah.
and this huge moment in film history is because of how well executed all of its ideas were.
Yeah, it's not just like all the ideas are there, what it's trying to say is great, but like it's just done so stylistically. Like the one word I can think of when this movie is like it's just style. Like
Yeah.
this movie has so much style and charisma, and I think it uses it to tell such a great story. Like from like every cinematography wise, I think every shot is just so interesting. Like it's always moving around.
There's,
Like the camera's always it has a lot of a lot of everything's shot from angles.
Dutch angles.
The
There's a lot
Dutch
of Dutch
angle.
angles in this.
It's not annoying Dutch
It's
angle.
not
It's
annoying.
Just, yeah.
It's just like
But
It's not like a Michael
done on
Bay film or
purpose.
something.
It's
not
purposeful.
Like Battlefield Earth, where every shot's Dutch
I
angle.
love
Yeah.
like the scene where Radio Rahim's doing his love hate, and like the camera
Yes.
shifts like around facing him and then shifts back up to
Yeah.
them.
Probably
I
my
think the camera
favorite shot
movement-
of the film is probably you've already mentioned it, the shot of Sal talking to
And you
Pino,
see- and you-
then
yes.
he walks outside and starts yelling at
And you can see Sal's clearly
Smiley,
disappointed.
and then you hear Sweet, what's his name? Sweet Dick.
Sweet Dick
Sweet
Willie.
Dick Willie.
Sweet Dick. That's like Sweet Dick Willie is repetitive.
God,
It's redundant.
I love that. His character is so fun.
Yeah, those characters who sit under the umbrella. The first scene with them is you immediately get a sense of their chemistry.
But like,
and it's
also
awesome.
I love what it's trying to do there. Is you have these three guys who have to sit and stare at these Asian. They didn't never specify what.
Korean, I think.
I don't know because they said
unclear.
Korean, Chinese, whatever they are. Because
Yeah,
they didn't. They have to constantly stare at these people who have created.
Well, according
a
to them,
business.
they're black.
Yes, true. But yeah, they
really
have to stare at them every day and like see how they're like they've made it in this. They came to this community late and they've already found something for themselves. But these people have been here probably their whole lives and they've just been sitting around doing nothing. And I like the scene where he's like, "We need to stop. Everyone's always blaming their failures because they're black. We need to stop doing that." I think that's a great. I like that sentiment.
Yeah.
But. And yeah, that's a great shot. One of my favorite shots is I love the shots.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I love the shots when the fight goes out into the street, and like it's cutting between. You can see everyone's face like over Sal, and I think it's so well. It's like so precise in how it was shot. Like it's just everything about those whole scenes so chaotic, but it's so purposeful in what it's doing. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, did we cover everything?
I don't really have anything else to say, except Smiley's character is really bizarre.
I like Smiley.
I do like Smiley, but I
Smiley's, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's an interesting
He's
one.
interesting.
He's an interesting character.
He just kind of added to the environment.
Yeah, he kind of added to, like, I don't know.
Maybe on a second watch I could pick up something more.
Yeah,
But
I'm hoping. Because he seems interesting and seems like he does add something.
I'll say on the second watch I liked it even more.
Yeah, it seems like you would because you get to pick
We
up.
want to do scores?
yeah, I'm
Yes,
thinking, are we
alright.
ready to wrap
Nick?
it up?
I'm feeling a 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10.
I was gonna probably go with an 8.5, but I could easily see that going up to 9 upon a second watch. So, I mean, it's closer to a 9 than a 7. So, probably in the 8 to 8.5 range.
I'm going 9.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're
Feeling
all pretty much in
Yeah, a
agreement
good one.
for this one.
All right.
Good pick.
Okay,
great pick.
so starting out strong. You know what they say, save the best for last.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
So
so we're
move on
moving
to
on to
number-
the second
I
film.
thought I was the
Yes.
guy.
I don't know. It can shift around. I
Yeah,
don't care.
I mean, you're not the host. You were just gonna introduce.
All
us.
right, my
Well, usually
movie.
the host introduces. So.
All right, my
All right,
movie.
Nick.
I chose Dark Waters or Dark Water. I do need the thing.
Nick doesn't know anything about his
Because
movie.
he's racist.
He's racist.
I
I
guess.
can't remember Japanese names.
I think it's.
Here's
is
what it
Japanese
is.
film?
Oh, right. That really helps me. Thanks.
Here.
I can't read that.
For
Viewers at home,
yeah.
or not viewers, listeners, I'm holding the phone way far away
Give
from
it.
Nick, so you can't see it.
tiny text. It says the director's name.
All right. So my movie is Dark Water, directed by Hideo Nakata. Nakata, I think, is how you pronounce
Obviously, one of Nick's favorites.
it. He directed Ringu, and I like Ringu. Dark Water is about
Rango.
Yeah, Ringo, the Johnny Depp movie.
Rango's pretty good.
Ringo is a
Ringo.
pretty solid name.
Dark Water.
Anyways, let's stop
Dark Water
interrupting
is
Nick.
about a recently divorced mother who is a child.
Well, not recent. Like getting
In
divorced.
the process.
In the process, but they're
Yeah,
separated.
shows how much this guy knows.
And they move into an apartment and creepy stuff happens.
Yeah.
And that's basically the simple plot. Obviously,
That's
there's
a
more.
little. That's an incredibly light.
Adding
like
on
the
to it,
most bare
We're gonna
bones.
add on to
Okay.
it with our discussion.
I think there's a lot more.
I
I
guess-
want to
than-
start with our.
I'll start off real quick. I'm gonna say this movie is,
Okay. Eh?
I think it does have some pretty great performances. I would say. The main mother, I think she does a pretty good job. Like you can see, I'm seeing a lot of nodding in there.
I'm just letting you talk.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pull up
I'm
my
gonna
notes
pull up. I
as
have
well.
a couple notes in
Um,
this one.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, we
no.
come prepared, unlike other members of the podcast.
Did you watch this movie illegally, Nick?
No, I watched that.
Yeah, Nick has FBI agents out there. We got one over here. If you ever want to come pick him up. Too bad you
But,
don't know his last name. So you can't.
I think this movie is I think it has a pretty good atmosphere to it. It definitely has a setting atmosphere at the beginning shot. You immediately know what you're getting into. It's a moody horror movie. And I would say this movie works better as when it's a drama than a horror. Because when it's a horror, it kind of just goes into the same cliches that we've seen. But I would say that's because it's dated, not because it was unoriginal.
You know how I love the dated excuse.
Well, I don't know.
No,
Alright.
keep going. It's okay.
I'm
It's
done.
fine.
I'll
We'll
hand it
have
over
more-
to John because I
No,
know
actually, I want Carter.
I'll go up.
I want Carter to go first.
Well, I expected to be the downer here, but it turns out I'm going to be the upper by saying I didn't love the movie, but I did like it. I think there's
Yes.
a lot of merits to this film. And I think it's definitely a very flawed movie, but I think there are a lot of merits to this film. And I'd like to hear, because I believe, judging by
I haven't said anything yet.
one
One person here has already seen my
the
Letterboxd.
body
I know
language
what it
of
is.
Jonathan.
One person
he
here has
did not
already seen
enjoy
my
this film.
Letterboxd review.
So
Sure.
I would say there's a lot of merits to this film. I think.
Name one.
Okay.
All right.
No, we'll get into that.
Jonathan, you go on.
We'll get.
Jonathan.
I think this movie is ass. I fucking hated this movie so much. Each second I watched this movie, I wanted it to be over.
Really?
Yes.
I did not expect that.
I think
Not
this
like
movie
Japanese
was-
movies. What's wrong?
No, I just think this movie was ass. I think almost nothing happens in it.
I will defend that.
I
I
will
will
defend that
disagree
too.
with that point. In fact.
Okay.
It's a personal.
All right. I will
story,
say most of the
think-
flaws I had with this film are that I think they're more like objective flaws. Like here's the
Yeah.
thing this movie did wrong. I think the movie works well in a metaphorical sense, and I think
Yes.
there are some legitimately scary scenes in this film.
I disagree.
I think one of my favorite
The only scene-
scares is very early on in the movie when the
I
hand,
thought-
the hand grabs her in the elevator and you see your child run away. I think that's a pretty great reveal.
I would also say the first scare sucks. It does. I don't know
One
if you
of her
remember
in
the
the
elevator
elevator?
one where the girl
Oh
pops
yes,
up
in the
and
elevator.
it like
yeah.
does a cut to the girl in the elevator and
zooms in,
it
like-
plays like the cheesy.
That wasn't the worst scare. The
No.
bathtub scare,
the bath
where it grabbed her face.
Yeah,
that
that
was
one-
Yeah,
god
okay.
awful.
What I would say is I did think the performances were a little stale. I didn't think they were bad.
I thought they were.
I thought they were stale.
I
I thought they were so boring.
thought some of them were bad. I do think the movie looks good. I think it's a
Yes.
very well shot movie.
It's
I think,
very well shot.
I will give it that. I think technically.
I think it does
It looks good.
a good job
There's
of
one
building
shot.
atmosphere. I also think it does a good job of building the atmosphere. I thought the water dripping from the ceiling and one might say a little too overtly dingy, rundown apartment building they live in built a good atmosphere.
fuck did
It
you
did
find
kind of look like a prison, I will admit. I would say this movie works really well in a metaphorical sense, and I think the movie is about child neglect.
Yes.
And
I think it's
I
very
could
clear.
go
it's about-
farther into it. I want to know what do you hate the
Well,
most
okay.
about
We've
this?
been skipping around John
let
a
me
little
go
bit too
through
much.
some things. One, this movie has given me no reason to care about these characters in any way. From the jump, I don't feel any connection to them. They have no qualities that make me like them. The child is incredibly emotionless. I don't think the child actor is very good at all. I think the mother is pretty boring, and when she does show emotion, she goes a little bit over the top. I think there's not enough backstory or anything there to make me care about them. I think for the first almost 45 minutes of this movie, almost nothing happens of significance, really.
I disagree.
Like what?
I also disagree.
Like, what do you think happens?
I just think it builds a scary atmosphere. Really
I don't think
well.
this movie was scary at all.
I do. I thought a lot of it was very unsettling.
Yes.
I thought a lot of the girl with the yellow jacket that she saw was unsettling.
Yeah.
I did not.
My-
It just wasn't doing
My
it for
main
me.
complaint. I generally don't find scary children scary because scary children aren't scary because children aren't scary.
Agreed.
But
I can beat up a
I would
kid.
say this movie presents it most of the time. There's definitely moments where it's awful scares. Like I said, I hated the first scare, and that's where I started to doubt that I would enjoy this movie. But I would say most of the scares are handled in a pretty mature and effective way.
Yes.
At least it worked for me.
It worked for me too.
I never felt tense. I never felt scared watching this. I was just waiting for it to end. I was waiting for something intriguing to happen, and it really almost never did. Like, I knew a
disagree with
child.
that as
I
I
well.
also
knew.
disagree.
I knew a child was missing, and I knew it seemed the child had died, and I get where you're coming from with the child neglect thing, but like, it's hard to explain why, but this movie just wasn't doing it for me.
I'm gonna interject and say, the reason I chose this movie is because I love Japanese horror. I think with Japanese horror stories, you can get
Which
the
is,
most.
I'm surprised you didn't like it more.
It just.
Why did you think the movie was Nick?
I think I was going in with the expectations of Ringu, which I absolutely adore.
Never seen Ringu.
Ringu's great. I recommend it. Maybe if we can not.
Well, I mean, if I didn't like this movie much, maybe I won't
You're
like
racist.
that one.
You didn't like the dream sequence? You didn't think the dream sequence was creepy or
Dream sequence. The
You
dream sequence?
where it's raining
Yeah, you don't remember?
and like half of the screen is muddled with rain? You didn't think that was cool or
When I'm trying to remember this, I don't even remember it.
you don't remember
Wow,
the dream sequence? She dreams and
What
like
does she dream
most
about?
of the screen is fogged up or
I remember a dream
wet.
sequence that and she wakes up and her kid's
She-
gone, right?
She wakes up and and
I
she
remember
sees
that. I
the
don't remember
rooftop.
what the.
You
what
don't think it
happens.
looks cool?
I know. I think the movie looks pretty good.
Don't you think did that scene not work for you or what?
Nothing.
I remember.
I never felt scared or tense in this movie.
I didn't feel the same way.
I would disagree because I think
We can't
Generally,
disagree with
the
how I
thought-
felt.
That's what I.
I think this movie deals with abandonment pretty well. I think generally the thought of being abandoned is very scary.
No, yeah, I think this mom is terrible.
Well, I don't
Do
think
you?
she's
I
terrible
feel
mom.
sympathy for the mom.
I feel sympathy for her. She seems like she is.
She's
way over
constantly
her head.
losing her
But
kid.
the
It's not
movie
her
is
fault.
about
Kids are all
child
shit that
neglect.
runs
She's
away.
constantly
Okay, leaving her
her
kid at
kids
school.
places.
Though?
That wasn't her fault. She was at work. She had to get a job.
She's
I know, but you still call the school and be like, "I'm late at work."
She was at an interview.
Yes, you can still call this. If you tell the interviewer, my kid is at school. No
You've
one
never
can pick
had-
them up.
You've never had anything just
True.
leave your mind at one point?
Oh, your kid? Yeah. If I had a kid,
I'll leave my kid in the
that
car
makes
You know what?
sometimes,
I
okay?
think the movie is about child neglect, and
yes, and that's what I'm saying. This mom
Yes,
sucks.
but I think that's why it's about child neglect during divorce. I believe.
Because there's no side you can go to if it's child neglect during divorce.
I mean, and
You could go to the father, but he seems like he
the
didn't
side
care.
of that it shows at the end. I don't think this movie quite stuck the landing for me.
Yes,
Ooh.
I also.
But I would say
the
the
elevator
end kinda-
ending scene I thought was terrible.
I think
I thought the elevator ending scene was cool.
I thought it was cool. The water, the shot with the water blasting out
was
of the
amazing.
elevator.
I like-
the dead
incredible
body looked incredibly silly.
Dated.
Yes.
would say dated.
Not even dated. It
Yeah,
just
okay.
looked silly.
I didn't
It was
get
a
why
silly
the mom
practical
had to stay in the elevator.
I think
With the
it
kid.
was, it was the thing that she knew this wasn't going to end.
It was more a metaphorical
Yeah.
thing. I think.
Yeah, but like, it
She
doesn't
chose
make sense
this
from
one
a
child
plot.
over another.
Mhm.
No, she didn't though.
Yes, she did.
She
How did
chose
she
the
not?
dead child over her own.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense though.
Because this child's been through so much and it's never had a real mother because it was abandoned. So she decided to try to give this child the.
I don't think
Because
the
she
movie
had been fouling
communicated.
with her own
Yes.
child the entire film.
And she knew that her child had a father she could go
The movie did not communicate this very well. Then
I think it
to.
did. And I think the final scene is showing how most kids whose parents abandoned them still feel this love for the mother, still feel like their mother or father protected them in some way.
I think that last scene does work for me. When she's talking to her mother.
I think it works. I don't think. It just never had that moment, like that aha, that hit me moment that
there
I
was
was
never
waiting
a punch
for.
at the end that I really wanted. Like, there's a shot of the girl in the
Exactly.
background that I really liked, but it just never built on that, and I was kind of disappointed there. But
Well, I think this is a hard one to really argue about because it's more Jonathan is more just saying it didn't really work for him.
Yeah.
and I just think that like a lot of it like it's. I don't think the plot really like went anywhere meaningful. Like it felt disjointed in a way. This was a linear plot, but in a way it felt way like it was more disjointed than something like Do the Right Thing. You know what I mean?
I felt like there was a momentum to the movie. It was a
Yeah.
slow momentum,
It
but
was-
I felt there
I
was a
think it was
momentum.
way too
I definitely
slow.
felt a build to something, and I got into it. I was invested in the story pretty much the
Yeah.
whole movie. I think
I just
the only
didn't,
times that took me out were some of the weaker scares.
I didn't feel invested in the characters themselves.
I felt
didn't
pretty
feel-
invested. I like the lawyer that helps her. he seems like a really nice.
He
person
seems like
and a
I
good
want to.
character.
I want to profit all. I want to get involved with this woman who's going.
It also does
divorced.
seem like he might be in it for profit, but I don't know.
Not profit, but like
For personal gain.
personal,
but
emotional profit.
He does help
as
her.
He wants to
and he
bang this
seems-
girl who.
Thanks. Whoa, I didn't get that feel.
I don't. Something about a divorce lawyer who attempts to help out mothers is kind of shady to me. Mothers going
That's
through
their
divorces.
job.
I know, but then tries to like go overboard and like become involved with them. Seems a little shady to me.
I thought the guy had generally pretty innocent
Yeah.
intentions.
I have no idea.
I thought there was a romance between them, but I didn't think it was
Yes,
like,
I
I'm in
definitely
here
did
just
sense
to
it.
bang and leave.
I'm giving you another kid. I'm out of here.
I think this movie was frustrating that I think with the same subject matter and the same same quality of film. I think it's a very well made film.
Yes.
I think it could have been a masterpiece. I just think there's things throughout that kind of took me out of it, or weren't very effective, or were dated, or just didn't look great. Like, again, the silly dead body looks ridiculous and
Bathtub scene.
I'm
terrible.
gonna say something.
I thought the bathtub scene was effective until
Yeah.
it grabbed her face, in which case it became
The
incredibly
hair,
silly.
the hair in the water scene. I liked.
That is genuinely unnerving.
The hair in the water scene was unnerving to me. I think a lot of the times when it would be a shot of the ceiling, like the water
Yes.
ceiling growing,
thought it
I
was
think
great.
that I liked. I think those were the only things that made me unnerved were like not paranormal things. We're just simply seeing like this decrepit place.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think it builds a great atmosphere.
I also
And I think
think,
that's
like-
what
I think
the
it
movie
rare-
does the best.
Sometimes it feels like a better drama movie than a horror movie because sometimes those horror scares just don't land. So you're kind of just more like,
I was invested.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was more invested.
I think what was I gonna
I
say?
respect your guys' opinion.
I think the water growing
Yes,
on
right
the
now.
ceiling
No, I do respect it.
obviously it has a lot of symbolic meaning, especially
Yes.
when the water
It's growing
when the water
constantly.
replaces her daughter's outline in the bed. And that's the stuff I appreciated from this film, and that's why I was generally fairly positive on this film. I didn't love it, but I think it could have been a lot better
Yes.
if there weren't these things throughout that kind of
Honestly.
were. I was like, eh.
I think this movie could have like an authentic Japanese remake and it could be better.
Did you know there is an English remake of this film?
Why do you think I didn't recommend that one?
It looks
It
like
looks terrible.
complete dog shit. It looks
Yeah.
awful.
It was during that time where we were remaking like Japanese horror movies after The Ring, so we were just like,
It
I wish I
seemed,
could grudge that.
seemed like they took Dark Water, took all of the subtlety out of it,
yeah.
and then made it really dumb for Americans so they could understand.
Like they did with One Missed Call. Even though One Missed Call, the Japanese version isn't really that great.
Or the American version of Martyrs.
Yes. Are we done with this one?
Anyways, I think we're done with this
Yeah.
one.
Like I said, there isn't much to discuss.
Jonathan, you want to go first?
No, you guys go first.
Alright, I'll go first. I'm giving this one probably a 5 out of 10. I'm-
Really? You seemed fairly positive about
I am
it.
positive, but there is some issues I have to. Those horror. Though when those scares don't land, it really drags down the movie.
Well, I originally gave it 6.5 to maybe a very light 7. I think I'm gonna probably give it more of a 6 to 6.5.
Yeah.
Probably, if I had to rate it on Letterboxd, I'd give it 3 stars.
I think my issue is I was kind of expecting more from you, so I kind of just set myself up for failure with my expectations.
Yeah. Maybe if you watched again knowing what it was, you might
Yeah.
like it more. Jonathan?
Has a chance to watch.
I'd probably give it. I gave it 1 star on Letterboxd.
That is harsh.
That is
Yeah.
incredibly harsh.
I think I gave it 1 star, right?
I think you
I
did.
think that's what it was. Yeah, I think I'm in the. You guys made some good points. I think I would
He
have to
changed his mind.
rewatch
He
again.
loves
No. I'm probably
It's his favorite
3.
film
I'm in
he
the
watched.
3 to 4 range, more close to 3.
Okay.
3. I'd say 3.5.
I guess that's
3.5 out of 10?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna
3.5
say
out of
3.5
5?
stars.
No,
I was
not
like,
3.5 stars.
Alright, so
Um,
Nick 5, me 6, you 3?
Yes.
Dark Water, more like
Don't even say it.
I didn't have anything. What
Yeah.
did you
Dark
think I was
Farter?
gonna
I thought you were gonna say.
fart water?
Yeah, something dumb like that.
Dark
All right.
All
Feelings.
Blarder.
Are we ready for
Get
The
a shit
main
on my movie,
events.
really?
Dogville?
This is the one I'm excited to talk about.
Me too. I'm very excited
This
to
is-
talk about Dogville.
Yeah,
All
this,
right.
this one alone
has
might
the
make
most to
this
unpack,
pod
I think.
this pod go long. So
We're
strap
already-
in,
How long are
everyone.
we in?
We're already close to an hour.
Oh shit.
We're at about 50 minutes.
Ooh,
So,
50 minutes.
We might be
Anyways,
pushing an hour and a half on this.
I'm fine with that.
I suggested the film Dogville by one of my favorite directors, Lars von Trier. I decided
Yeah.
uh,
Still
for
the
this
best place.
for this podcast, I didn't want to talk about any of his other films because there is more debate, and I didn't want the review of Dogville
We might come back to that.
to turn into a
Don't worry.
screaming match about
we
a
get the
different
letter
film.
H. We may have some discussion.
Oh boy.
We didn't want that to happen. So, anyways,
No.
We didn't want
that.
someone to die on set on the first podcast.
so Dogville is a film about a small town, a close-knit community in the mountains. One day, a woman shows up. They hear a gunshot in the forest. A woman shows up. She hides in the mine, and a group of gangsters come into the town and ask where the woman is hiding. They don't reveal, and then the gangsters leave. And this woman, played by Nicole Kidman, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot her name. What's her name?
I think it's
Grace.
Nicole Kidman.
Grace.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Grace, she slowly becomes integrated in the community until eventually, for multiple reasons, none of them really her fault ever, she starts to become
one
sort
of
of
them.
one of them. Yeah, kind of.
sort of
keep going.
so
Whatever.
she starts to become sort of the black sheep of the community after she's been accepted, after they have this weird 2-week program where she must prove that she's part of the community. They start to turn against her. They start kind of abusing her in a lot of ways. She gets raped by one of the village people.
I think you mean multiple.
Well,
I mean,
that's
we
later,
don't have to go into
later in
deep
the film.
plot.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Basically, things escalate.
so basically things escalate. People are turning against her so much so that she tries to escape from Dogville. Her plans foul, and she ends up being chained to a huge metal block and being forced to basically
It's
work.
like a wagon wheel or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was metal.
She's
though.
she's
Yeah.
essentially forced to slave labor, physically and sexually, for the town, and she's trapped there until the gangsters return, and she decides she's gonna become part of the gangsters.
Apparently, one of the
one-
gangsters was her dad, who
Well,
also
yeah.
shot at her.
Yes. So
Shot at her.
yeah, in a fit of anger, he shot at her.
And after probably an hour, she came to the decision.
So
After
yeah,
an hour of talking in the car.
yeah, she has an incredibly long conversation
More
with
on
her
that
father,
later.
and decides, I'm going to become a gangster, and I want everyone in Dogville killed. And they burn the town down and kill all of its citizens. And,
Very quick turn of
and
Yes.
change of.
that's where the film ends.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of Dogville?
Maybe you'll save Nick for last here. 'Cause I think.
Well, first off, we haven't even mentioned what's the gimmick of the
okay,
movie.
let me explain the gimmick, because unlike these two, I had no clue. I came into this movie completely blind. I had no clue of the gimmick.
I didn't
And-
know this is what he meant by that.
Nick was half aware.
I was the only one who was entirely aware of what the
So,
film would be
Hopefully,
like.
you guys have watched this if you're listening to this. But if there were one that you didn't watch, it
Or
would be
you
this
watched
one.
some of it and might
Because
have
this
given
one
up.
is a long movie,
It's a lengthy
3 hours.
3 hours.
But there's no set in this movie. It seemed to take place in some sort of warehouse. All the houses are chalked in. There's very limited props.
No walls.
Bench here and there, a desk, a dog is literally just a drawing of a dog, labeled dog. So everything's labeled with chalk, it seems like.
Yeah,
I couldn't really
tape,
tell.
maybe.
But yeah, there's no set, and often this provides for great comedy, such as you hear a dog barking, but it will simply be something labeled dog, people opening fake doors, a bell suspended in midair. Very comical stuff like that.
So, anyways, what did you think of the film?
Okay. If I had one word, we discussed this slightly, but if I had one word to describe this film, it's frustrating because there's so much potential here. There's so much there, and I feel like it's just below the surface, but it's never fully realized, and it constantly held me by a thread of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I see something here, and then it always pulled it away from me, and it always frustrated me. It's the only word I can come up with. This is just frustration at how much of this did not work.
It's a movie. I'm gonna speak from how I personally felt before watching the film. It's a movie. I'd seen a number of Von Trier's other works. I really enjoyed them. It's a movie that's always fascinated me. It's always interested me. I've wanted to watch it for probably like a year now. I just never got around to it. Because I always thought the idea of it so cool. And I stand by that.
I do too.
Two
I agree
things,
that it's
two
cool
things
idea.
I hate hearing in film reviews is the phrases, and they're used all the time.
Weird.
The phrase is weird for the sake of being weird and style over substance.
I don't think this was weird
Are-
for the sake of
are-
being weird.
Wait, let me just finish. Those are two things I hate to hear, is weird for the sake of weird and style over substance. However, I would say there is shit in this movie where I'm like, that is just pointless. I don't know what they were going for in terms of comic relief, or my shining example of this would be, there's a shot where you can see a girl jump roping in the background, and she has no jump rope, but there are props in the movie. Like, there are props
They were
throughout.
using a jump rope earlier in the movie.
Yes. So I was
Dog
like,
bone. Like,
what, did he just think it would be cool to have this girl not be using a jump rope? There's other stuff like, there's just like the bushes throughout, and there's things that could have, because there's trees in other parts of the film too. There's things throughout where I feel like,
there's no rule. Like,
Yeah,
there's no rules.
a film like this where there's no set, there should be rules about, like, there should be specific rules where it creates a world. And this, it felt more like, we're just gonna mess around the whole time
It's
with
very-
this. We have
it's
no set, so we're gonna...
experimental.
It
But, like-
seems like a gimmick.
Experimental things should have a rule.
Yes.
Because, like, I
wish
get
this had
the...
a
This
reason.
film could pull it off.
I get the argument. So, like...
if they were stricter rules. Like, they always knock on the doors and open the doors that are imaginary. But I swear in the beginning there's a scene where they shout through the walls to the other people.
No, yeah.
There is. But then they all imagine like they can't see the people behind their walls too.
To the
Later
point
in
where
the
there's
film.
a rape going
There's
on.
a rape going on and no one noticed.
I think that's probably
And
a really good shot that actually works.
I think there were... I think all the shots that
Yes.
were top down...
There's a lot of
I
effective
I
shots.
always loved... I loved how that looked.
well,
I'm
yeah.
still
that
gonna
gives
hold out,
you-
though. We're not to me yet.
Because that gives you... Because I think where the gimmick works is making this a very close space where all these people are very close.
Yes, and you
And that
never leave the space. The only time you do is the truck scene, and the
you're
truck
still
scene is
in this-
incredibly claustrophobic and uncomfortable.
And whenever you see the top-down shots, it gives you a great scale. I think it just gives you a great scale. Like, I loved the one where it's sped up and it's showing her going and doing her
Yes,
daily
that's very
activities.
cool.
I liked that a lot. I just like whenever it was top-down, I loved how that looked.
yes,
And when it zoomed down into the truck, I liked that too.
yes, that whole sequence I thought was pretty.
The whole truck sequence is probably
Yes.
my favorite. That's when
That's
this
a-
movie worked. And which is funny because
I would say. Let's talk about the movie. How the movie structured.
Let's start with-
There's 9 chapters.
let's start with the
film.
goods.
Can I-
say we
can I
start
give
with
my
the
opinion?
goods.
Yeah.
Well, if we're
Yeah,
starting.
skipped over me.
Okay,
Alright,
sorry.
sorry for the profanity. Fuck this movie. I was upset watching this. I do like Lars von Trier. I actually do. He pisses me off a lot. But I've seen a lot of stuff I
Like,
really...
in what movie does he piss you off in? Like, what other
No,
movie?
let's not talk about this.
Nymphomaniac.
All right.
Good
well, I
answer.
haven't seen that, so
Yes.
good answer.
But there is good stuff in this movie. There's some pretty great stuff in this movie. But God, is there some god-awful stuff in this movie. Some of the writing is so bad.
100% agree.
There is unforgivable sins in this movie that you can't even.
There's
look
a
over.
love plot that is so.
The love plot is
Yeah.
so it comes out of nowhere.
Comes out of nowhere.
And that bench scene is one of the most awkward
No,
things.
I wouldn't
that-
say it comes out of nowhere. I would say it's excruciatingly
Cliche.
extended and on the nose the entire film.
And I don't think it. I think it does come completely out of nowhere.
They kind of set up from the beginning when she shows
Yeah.
up that he's in love with her.
I know, but like, why is she in love with him? There was never
He's
any
the
express.
only, like non.
But that doesn't mean you have to.
lustful
I think
person
that's
towards her.
simplifying her character.
I think
To a
everyone's kind of like
Every
simplified
character is so simplified. That's
caricatures
also
almost.
another issue. There's
Which
no
is
complexity.
insane
All
because
the
you have
characters-
3 hours to develop the characters, and
characters
all of them are kind of
suck.
flat, stagnant characters.
They're so,
Nothing- including Nicole Kidman, who is supposed to be the only
I think
real
her
human.
performance kind of sucked for the most
She's
part.
terrible in this
Yeah.
movie.
She's like when she's trying to be like lifeless. I think it just like. I didn't even think that's bad. Like she seems lifeless throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I was like,
and
is
then
there a
when
difference? She's
and
been like
then
this
when
the entire
she's
time.
trying to be lifeless, it's
I
even worse.
realized that Nicole Kidman, the only performance I've liked from Nicole Kidman
Funny.
is. That's not Nicole Kidman, bro. That's Naomi Watts.
We'll edit that out. in
They're
post.
both blonde. I don't know. Okay.
Nicole. The only performance I like from
Take two.
Nicole Kidman is The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yes.
In a movie where everyone is purposefully supposed to act stilted and lifeless the whole time. Every other movie I've seen her in, she sucks because she acts stilted and lifeless.
And also, like, what's the point of her being stilted and lifeless in this?
Exactly.
All the characters.
I'm fine with the people of Dogville being stilted and lifeless because they're
I'm
all
not.
supposed to be caricatures
I
of
wanted
like.
more.
They could have been characters. What this movie's talking about is like poor people, and I think you could have made
I don't
have
think
to
it's
make
talking
them
about poor
likable.
people.
well dogs or whatever you. But even okay,
It would have been so much more interesting if they were like you. They were like you were really like kind of friends with these characters, like Nicole Kidman was.
or not friends,
No,
but
I-
if you made them
Yes.
in any way
If you
interesting,
developed them at all.
like they played with it, like a guy who's blind but pretends not to be blind, like that's interesting, and then but the character himself is not like
But then
interesting
Nicole Kidman's just an
whatsoever.
asshole to him out of
For no
nowhere.
reason.
For
She's
out
an
of
asshole
nowhere,
for
she's
no
decided-
reason. There's so many things that happen in this just completely out of nowhere.
Let's
like
talk about how the movie's structured. There's 9 chapters and a prologue. The prologue is meaningless. It's
Yes,
the
completely.
introduction to the characters. It's like
You don't learn
5.
anything.
It's like maybe like 5 minutes long.
Which you could've
and then
learned-
the actual introduction of the characters happens in the next chapter.
yeah.
It's kind of just like, I guess it's trying to settle you down to this idea of like, oh, there's no sex.
This is
All
a
the
set.
intro should have been like showing you this. It should have been a top-down view of it that like panned over the set.
Yes,
That's
I agree.
maybe
Which
like
is what it kind of was, but then that's
But-
all you need.
that's all you need. You don't need this. Yeah.
This movie needs to trim the fat.
Oh my
Half of
god.
this movie
yes.
is fat.
So
This movie
there
could have been an
are
hour and a half long.
I would
countless
love this
scenes
movie.
of extended dialogue that are absolutely painful.
The car.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
can I talk?
Talk
So
about the car.
I wanted to. Can we keep saying the goods? Because there are so many bads I want to get to, but I want
Yeah.
us to be somewhat structured in this
Okay.
talk.
Well, I would.
So
I would say
I want to
the-
say some goods.
Me too.
I think
Okay.
that the basic plot and story of this is very interesting,
Yeah.
and I
I
like
would
it.
agree.
would
I
also-
think that the
I would-
idea of a outsider coming into a small town and increasingly being enslaved by
It's-
it is very, very interesting and has so much potential. And then, but like, sorry, I'm sticking to the goods. So yes, I think that the basic
it's
plot of this
genuinely
is
unsettling
interesting, and it's
at
very
times.
unsettling. And there are times where I was invested more in this than Dark Water, I would say.
I
I would-
completely disagree.
I would,
Fine by me,
I would honestly
but-
say as well. I would say that the film not having any sets could work
yes.
for me.
I think that could work.
especially
too.
with the story that
Because
is
it's
presented.
supposed to be
kind
a
of-
tight
I
space.
kind of love that idea.
I like
Me
the idea
too.
too.
That's why I was so
That's what I'm
excited to
saying.
watch
There's
the
so
film.
much potential with that. It's so much interesting, but so many times it was only used for
But you
comedic
have
effect,
to
and
rely
I
on
don't.
actors.
I don't know if it was.
And I
meant
don't
for
know if it was
comedic
meant to be
Yes,
comedic
that's
effect.
the issue.
I was laughing at this movie. I laughed at this probably more than Do the Right Thing.
Yes.
and I
Probably.
don't know if I was
There was
supposed to.
so many.
What I would say is probably the first 30 minutes or so, we were laughing really hard at
And
this
then I was
film.
like, okay, this isn't
And then
funny anymore.
it wore off, and then it kind of got annoying, but the story was still so boring that you didn't get invested in it. Because I think no matter what you do, the idea is going to be funny
I don't think
Yeah,
the story
at
was
the
boring.
impact.
I think the writing was boring.
I think the story was boring because of how slowly paced, and
I know, but if we're looking at,
there was no momentum.
if you were
to
to
the
look
story.
at, yeah, I agree. But
If you
like,
plotted
if you're
out
looking at,
what happened, it would be
interesting. That's what I'm saying. I think if you're looking at simply the story, I think it's interesting. But like the way it was written, the way it was acted, it all fell short tremendously.
Yes.
Anyways, what I was gonna say is, you reach chapter 6, which I believe is called Dogville Bites Back
I
or
have
something.
No idea.
Some
The chapters
stupid,
are like a description.
some stupid
basically.
pun.
Some of the
like
chapters
Dogville.
made like the one was like, what was it like?
Anyway,
Instead of the town votes, it was like.
Oh, yeah,
It was
yeah.
like Grace fights back or something.
Grace indulges in
Provoking act or something
in
like that.
provocation or something.
And then like what actually the main thing was the town voting on her. Also, let's talk about that.
Wait. Let me stick with the goods. Let me stick with the
Sorry,
goods.
I do. That's one of the funniest parts of this.
That's the issue with this movie. Every time you have a good, it just dissolves
Into
into
a
a
million
bad.
bads.
Let's stick with the goods for now. I would say from Dogville Bites Back to the beginning of chapter 9, I liked the film.
Agreed. That's
Yes.
that's
Because
the meat of it, and that's when I felt
the
good
meat
about
of the
that.
movie was when the villagers started fighting back and
once-
started turning against her.
and when she got
that's when I got
chains-
that's when I got invested, and that's when I started to get scared. I started to feel uncomfortable for
I started
her.
to be like, is this movie going to redeem itself? Like,
Yes.
I would start.
Yes,
Like,
I started to actually feel
I
like,
mean,
okay.
There obviously
Someone's-
Dogville Bites Back starts with the spanking scene, which
one of the worst scenes.
it's so
In the movie.
hilarious.
it's such a hilariously ridiculous and morbid idea that I think
okay.
it almost
the first,
worked.
let's say the first half
Let's
of
say
Dogville Spikes.
no. Let's say from the rape scene on.
Yeah, the rape
Yes,
scene on.
I would
Rape
agree.
scene on until chapter 9, the final chapter. I think
The shot of her, I like the shot of her laying down after the rape, where it like pans out.
It's brutal. Yeah.
the truck rape scene in particular, I
that-
thought was excellent.
that whole
Yeah.
the truck
I thought that
sequence
whole
was
sequence-
great.
and
The reveal that
even
he
though-
brought her back was like
It's a gut
was well
punch.
done. It's a
and
gut
then
punch.
her being chained and being forced
And the
to be,
kids,
it all,
like,
it
the
all
kids,
worked. It all worked for me.
Yes.
Me too. What
I
once
think
she
it
got,
really added to like.
like that's when I was like,
started to feel
then I
like
was
the
like,
grime
oh. Then I
of
was
the
like,
film.
oh shit! Like this is.
This is good.
I was like, oh, this is.
I was like,
I
was
feel
Lars von
gross
Trier just playing
watching
me
this
this
now.
entire time to try to get me more.
Because there's a
Yeah.
point where I was like, why does this have an R rating? I haven't even
Oh, yeah.
swore.
Yeah,
And then
'cause
she
it's
gets
like an hour and a
raped,
half
and then I
in.
was like, oh, that's why.
And then it gets darker
It gets-
And
by
the way
her having her chained.
the way it
and being a
escalates
sex
is
slave.
so great, and then
Even then,
Then
though,
chapter 9 happens.
And then
we'll
whatever
explain
the
chapter
hell-
9. It's so hard to structure this
it was
review.
it was
'cause there's-
building so well, and then like I was like, oh, is the guy gonna turn on her now? Like her only friend, is he gonna turn on her? Like
that's another thing of
And then he
the
does.
story versus the execution. Because if you plotted out the story,
all
chapter
interesting.
9 is awesome. Like
Yes.
what happens in chapter 9 is awesome.
but the way it happens,
But the way
is
it happens
so
is so
god awful
dull and boring
and doesn't make
meaningless.
sense.
So chapter 9, she's reaching her breaking point. Basically,
We're sticking to the goods. We still have
Uh,
goods, right?
Oh, we're still doing
I thought
goods.
we were out of goods.
I just want to talk about the just general. Well, the goods and the bads will come as we
Yes.
discuss. I think.
Okay.
I think I pretty much got my goods out of the way.
I got my goods
like
out
the
of the way, so-
I like the concept. I like the basic idea. I
Yes.
think there could have been something smart said here, and the end credits were really the knife that sunk that in.
The knife that sunk that in that this movie did not hit like I wanted it to, and I think it could have.
Yeah, because it could. Yeah, this movie did not.
Let's talk about the ending.
But before the ending, I think
Let's talk about the movie as a whole. Let's start from chapter 1 through chapter 9.
let's go
Alright.
chapter by chapter. I need to like.
Let's look at
remember-
a list of the chapters.
Okay, yeah, because I want
I
to.
mean,
There's
get that
so
up.
many moments. I want to talk about the initial voting scene,
All right.
because I think this is one of the most blasphemous things, and I don't know
I
if it
think
was
it's
done
one
for
of the
comedy or
funniest
not.
things.
I don't even know. I don't know if it was done for comedy
Well,
or
what
not.
did we
I would
mention that was hilarious?
The
Oh, when
Let me-
before she leaves, and they all come up to her like, "Oh,
Yes, oh
we'll
my
get
God.
to.
all right."
So the scene I'm talking about, I think is it's one of the I laughed hardest at was when they're trying to figure out
If to keep Grace or not.
To keep Grace or not, and they're like, you can only stay if all 15 of the townspeople vote for you. So she's like, we can't have her in the room when we vote. She's like, okay, I'll go wait by the mine, and if ring a bell for every person who votes for
Every
me,
15 person.
and if I count 15,
All of the 15
I'll
people.
stay. Instead of ring the bell if one person doesn't vote for me, and then I'll leave. And that
I would
continues.
say ring the bell if all the people voted for
That
me.
continues
One of
the
the-
theme of no, because then like she wouldn't know when
One of the most cornball moments in the movie too, when she starts
when she
to climb
starts
the
walking
mountain.
away.
Oh my god. She's like,
And then
dejected.
right as she's climbing the fake mountain, ding! I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But yeah, I think
What the fuck?
there were a lot of funny moments rolling on the bell, like when. What was the one when she was at the 4th of July table and the guy comes and is like, there's someone in a car on the way, and she's like,
Martha
Yeah,
says,
she's like,
"Do you want
do you want me to ring the bell? Like, I think that was done for comedy.
That's the thing. I don't know if it's even. It's another frustration I have with this film.
I don't know if-
Is I don't know where the comedy ends and the real movie begins.
Like the spanking scene.
The spanking
Like,
scene
what
is
the
funny.
hell was that?
Spanking scene is.
Child actor, let's get down.
Yes.
Well,
Let's
Lars
pull
von
it.
Trier notoriously bad at directing children, and he sucks in this one too.
That kid.
It's extra bad. in this
That
one,
what was
right?
his name? Jason?
Yeah, Jason.
Oh my god. He like I get that they were trying to make him a little shit.
The writing is so
But like
bad.
he
though.
was so bad. And then the whole spanking
He's
scene.
like, did you
It's
notice
impossible
I've been being
not.
bad?
Like I didn't know if it was some sort of sexual like,
Yeah.
thing.
I took it as a sexual
I
thing.
did too because he had some sort of weird
But
thing
it's
going
it's
on.
like,
almost
come on,
it's
harder.
so
funny.
perverted and weird that I
And then
almost
when she
can't
was
believe
actually
that it was a
spanking
sexual
him,
thing.
it was so funny.
When he starts kicking the crib is when I lost him.
Oh, when he starts punching the crib, where we thought he was
I thought
actually
he like punched
and
the
like
baby.
the fake like stock baby sound.
I guess there was a real
cries.
baby though.
No, that was only taken out at the end. There was no baby in there.
No, there was a baby.
No, there was not until the
Not
end.
Oh,
until
wow,
the
yeah.
end. Yeah, it was clearly
it
just
was
like
stock baby sounds.
Yeah.
Do you have a
There's-
list of the chapters? Then?
Yeah, I brought up a list. A lot of it, like
Alright.
the
we still can't even start from the beginning.
first 5 chapters,
Pointless.
like not really much happens.
Yeah.
So
We still do chores.
but we can talk about the prologue is just that. It's a prologue that kind of explains
Introduces
some
the
things.
characters, I
and
guess.
Introduces
doesn't.
the concept.
Chapter
I guess.
1 introduces the
Again?
characters more than
It's like we're explaining the characters twice, I think.
not even that because the
And I
prologue explained maybe 3 characters.
And I still can, for as long as this
Yes.
movie is and as tight as it is, I couldn't name half. I couldn't give you half of their
I couldn't
names.
even give you the traits of most of the characters.
Um,
What
There's
every character.
Apple Orchard.
Example.
What was the Apple
every
Orchard
character
guy's
do the
name?
right thing.
Chuck.
Chuck was a weird rapist.
Every character in the
Rapist,
Do the Right Thing, you could give a description of them based on something that wasn't their appearance or
Yes.
their
I
actions.
know. I love how
You-
comparable these movies are.
You could
It
give
works
a
so well.
description of their character based on things that aren't their actions or what they look like, which
You could-
means they're good characters.
Yes, they're
in
good
this
characters.
movie, I couldn't name you
Jason was
Nicole
a
Kidman
little.
stoic.
Not even.
I don't know because
apathetic.
oh, you
Passive,
think
I
she's
guess.
you think she's no.
Chuck, is he aggressive?
Okay, and she's
Until he's not.
they give
broken
her this
down.
thing where it's like she never cries. She's taught herself how not to cry,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then this woman smashes her dolls that she's
Well,
been buying for who knows
They
what.
set up
for
the
re-
figurines so
for
that
what-
they could have that exact plot device
But-
so you could have the satisfying payoff at the end.
But
of
it
the
was
film.
funny. That was another scene that was comical.
It was
If
funny.
you cry,
It was hilarious.
They
break
should have
more.
picked something other than goofy looking figurines.
and they could have done something
Or
darker
not
there.
violence.
They could have done something to her worse.
I was
No,
waiting for
I think
violence.
that could have worked if
Yes.
they picked an object that wasn't so goofy.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely been movies where I've seen where a precious object or something that's really not that meaningful to the average person, when it's destroyed or killed, it's painful
John Wick the dog.
because, no.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna say no.
the dog
'cause
is actually meaningful. That is a
the dog
living
is
thing.
meaningful, but you have no attachment to the dog at all.
Was it?
Whatever.
The fact that
it
it's a-
sets
the-
up that the dog
fact
is
that
a
it-
symbol for her.
But the
early
fact that
on
it is
in
a dog.
cheesiest
The
and-
fact that it is a
Alright, let's not
dog.
talk about John
Yeah, why
Wick.
are we
Sorry.
talking about John Wick?
Dog?
Because
Not
John
that
Wick is awesome.
The first John Wick kind of not.
It doesn't
Okay,
suck.
who cares?
All right.
John Wick
Anyways.
3, go see that as soon as possible. That movie's
Anyways.
Speaking of Dogville, let's talk about it.
All right. Dogville.
parallels. Speaking of dog, Hunter is here, the fourth guest.
Yeah, you might have heard him
So,
snoring or
farting,
the whole movie.
stanking
I mean,
off the
whole podcast.
movie.
Alright.
What are we?
I think Dogville is melting my brain.
It is melting.
I
mine.
felt melted after watching that.
Oh my god.
I felt like
I felt
deflated
tired.
after
I felt
watching.
tired. I felt.
I felt like I really just.
Okay, can we just skip to the ending?
Yes.
Can I give my thoughts on this ending?
I have an extra thought on the end.
So, they call the gangsters. They think, oh, these people are after her because they've stolen something from her or whatnot. They call the gangsters. The gangsters come into town,
Yes, because they are not aware that she is the gangster's daughter. They think the gangsters were hunting her down.
which we thought too, for the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Until
I mean,
they got
it's like a genuine twist
until they
came
get
out.
they get there and then they're angry for some reason. Like, oh, she's related to them.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm like, so why does she have to go in? Why is she putting up with all this to escape them?
Yeah,
Why
I don't
why was the
understand.
dad shooting at her? Not much explained there, but
The anger issues, I guess.
whatever. I guess
Whatever.
he's a mob boss. He shoots at his daughter for calling him arrogant. Fine, whatever.
And then there's a.
And then let me
Who
keep
wants to say
explaining.
the
I
scene?
no, I'll keep going.
Okay.
So we get the twist. The townspeople are angry. They're like, "Who chained her up?" They like start beating him. The guy who chained her up or whatever. The guy who's the worst checkers player of all time for some reason.
He's stupid. That's his character.
Yeah.
Until he's not.
No, he's always stupid, I
So
think.
she gets taken into a car.
Who cares?
The town is
He has
all
no
watching.
character.
She gets in the car and she refers to the guy in the car as daddy or whatever. And you're like, oh, she's related to this guy.
It's her dad.
And then
Surprise.
for some reason, there's a dialogue between these two that goes on. It could have been an hour.
It parallels, I would say, at least 4 to 5 other scenes
It was-
where I started laughing out loud
For
at
how long it was. But this
One
one,
of the other worst examples being
the love
the
bench,
love bench,
where they're just saying the
might be the
same
worst.
things over and over again. And
Yes.
I think it was the worst in the
They
car.
go back and forth on the same topic. It could have been 3 hours. It could have been the whole movie, honestly. It's so long.
And they're saying,
They're saying the same
The
thing
same-
over and over again.
I think all bad people should be gotten rid of. I think we should feel empathetic for them.
You're
You're
arrogant.
arrogant. You're arrogant. And then it rinse, wash, repeat.
She exits
Over
the
and
car,
again.
comes back in, and they have the same
They have the s-
conversation.
It's not even like the themes they talk about have been established.
In the
Yes,
movie,
it
it
is.
just comes
Never
out of
been.
nowhere. And it's interesting themes, but they come out of nowhere, and her heel turns out of nowhere.
They
She
talk about
is
the moonlight.
so strongly in. I do like how the light changed both the times that happens. That is one of
Yes.
the other things I liked.
I,
And her heel, she turns the heel so quickly into an absolute monster.
Yes.
She turns from being so empathetic towards these people to like, and never mind, kill her kids and make her watch. Just out of nowhere.
Yes.
the thing I think that makes that scene so painful is it might not be the longest, it might not even be the worst written, but like we said before, we were invested in the film at that point. Like, we were into it then, because for probably the first hour and a half we weren't. We were laughing at it, and then we were bored. And then, like we said, the rape scene happens, and then we got into it again. We
It was something
were
weird.
into it. We thought it was cool.
Yeah, come on. Man.
Whoa, what?
I mean, well,
Let's
we
not-
already
Don't
explained.
let's not get a soundbite out of context soundbite of that.
Yeah, the
Jesus.
rape scene.
I was
happened,
into it.
and
I was
we
digging
got
it.
into it. We were really digging
Oh,
it.
son, I was just,
No,
I was
I mean, we already
Oh.
explained that.
I was disturbed.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was like-
I was intrigued.
I was wondering how is this going to conclude?
Yes.
And then we came to the conclusion that we know where this is going, and we wanted it to happen. I wanted this town to
I
die.
wanted it.
I was so excited to kill this
It
town.
did eventually happen.
But I was more excited for them to die because they were all so annoying to me.
Yeah.
And not
less
because
because of what they did to her, and more because I just was. it was symbolic of killing the movie because I knew once they were dead, the movie
And it
would
was
end.
like, oh, finally, like something really interesting is gonna happen in this.
Finally.
You know what I mean? It was
Yes.
more. It wasn't rooting it for. It was like, oh, I want this girl to get her revenge
Even
on
then,
these
though,
people.
That killing scene is so laughable.
It's comical.
There's no blood at all.
I think that was done purposely.
yeah.
And I didn't mind that.
I wanted.
But
something.
like, I think like when you're killing children in front of their parents, I think there should be some sort
yes,
of emotion
there has
to
to
it.
be
And,
something.
and
Not
Nick
just-
was laughing hysterically at
Yeah,
that.
it's so dumb and funny.
Like they straight up kill a baby. They put a gun to a baby's head and like kill it on
And
camera.
it's supposed to be like disturbing or
You're supposed to be like,
Wasn't.
oh my god.
And, like,
it
it's
wasn't.
It's just funny.
They
It
could have
didn't
made
work.
it disturbing, and they could have made you be like, oh, maybe, like they could have like made you. They could have had some inner conflict, like, oh, why was I rooting for these people to die? They're simply living in downtrodden houses.
Because no one has emotion.
And then, but then you're like, oh, that's why I wasn't rooting for these characters because I can't even remember their names. Like,
Yeah. I think. All right, you want to do like closing statements about
my
this
closing
film?
statement is
And
there's
then
so
scores.
much untapped potential here. There's so much I could have liked. There's so much I wanted to like this movie, and so much stopped me from doing that. There were so many glimmers of hope, of greatness, of interest, and it just never culminated into something. Almost never culminated into something that was worth watch.
Alright.
A lot of times when I'm judging long movies, I'm like, would I watch this again? And this is a case where I'd never want to watch this again, I don't think.
Alright.
So score?
Well, you guys give your final statements.
Oh.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Here's what I'm gonna say. You should watch Dogville. You should give it a watch.
Mm-hmm.
If after the first 45 minutes, because like I said, we were having a good time the first 30 minutes laughing at it. After the first 45 minutes to an hour, you find the movie incredibly painful and excruciating. Skip to chapter 6. Watch until chapter 9.
Because almost nothing.
Yeah,
important
nothing
really
of
happened.
that-
that.
Missing anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you'd be like, oh, things escalated.
Skip
Makes
from
sense.
that
Wow.
moment
She did chores?
to chapter 6.
She really did just do chores for like 3 chapters. She literally just did chores for 3 chapters.
Skip to chapter 6. Watch until chapter 9. Skip the conversation she has with her dad. Watch the places burn down. And then that's the end of the movie. If you want to subject yourself to all 3 hours of Dogville, be my guest. What I would say about this film is a couple hours after it just kept coming back to my mind. I kept thinking about the film,
Me too.
which isn't always the best judgment of whether a movie's good or bad, but I kept thinking about how odd and unique of an experience it is. I really don't think any other movie is going to make me feel the way this movie felt, whether it was positive or negative emotions.
Yeah, I would say I'm glad I watched this. I do not regret watching this. Immediately after I couldn't wait. It's been like 5 hours since we watched this, and I couldn't wait to talk about it. Like we were struggling not to talk about it after.
I feel the way I feel after, although I'm much more positive about Dogville than I am about this film. I feel the way I feel about this movie, about Gene Dealman. I don't know if you are aware of Gene Dealman. Do you know that film?
Yeah, no, I do.
Gene Dealman,
Should we save it?
excruciatingly. I'm not watching.
I'm
Gene
not
Dealman.
watching
Okay,
that shit.
okay. It's
From what you
terrible.
guys said,
Gene Dealman
I
is an
see the point.
excruciatingly long film. Me and Nick both hated it.
I don't think
for
it's
our own
good.
reasons. We don't hate it because of the reasons it wants you to hate it.
Yeah.
We hate it because it's a poorly made film.
In our opinion, it is.
Yeah. I think objectively it's a pretty poorly made film.
Yes,
honestly.
because there's just a bunch of
there's like
errors. That
technical errors
they were
throughout the
just like-
film.
level 1 of you shouldn't make those errors.
Yeah, people are walking around cameras. There's boom mics in the shots. Boom mics in shots where you could have so easily.
You
Whatever.
could have, like-
This isn't a
Alright,
Gene
yeah,
Dealman.
what have you
But
done?
anyways, after I watched Gene Dealman, I hated the film. I really did. I really felt like a visceral hatred for Gene Dealman. But I don't regret watching it. And I think if you love films and I love art house films, you should at least watch Gene Dealman once. and I'm not saying you'll love it.
I have to watch it
You might
alone.
even hate it, but I think you should watch it once. And I feel the same way about Dogville because it's such a unique, one-of-a-kind experience, even though I do think there's major flaws in the film. And I would concede that there are parts that I almost love about Dogville. There's aspects of this film I think are fantastic, but I think it doesn't pull off most of what it's going for me.
If you don't laugh within the first 15 minutes, just turn it off.
Yes.
Because then there's probably nothing redeeming about this.
If you don't laugh and you aren't invested, especially, turn it off.
Okay.
And if you loved this movie, write in. Because I would love to hear your...
I would love to hear your
I'd love to make
defense
fun
to
of
some
how-
of our points.
I'd love to make fun of how wrong you are. And that
He's
goes
joking.
that goes for any time anyone writes in. We'll just make fun of you on the podcast.
On air.
We
We'll
don't
read
care.
your letter and rip it apart on air.
Yeah, we'll
Alright.
burn it, smoke a weed out of it. I
Wow.
don't know.
I'm trying to get caught.
Alright.
Alright, so
FBI
FBI is already showing up
Ignore
because of
that.
Nick's legal movie watching.
about to get swatted as we speak.
I don't like this movie. I think that's clear to see. I think
You
it's
can't see anything in this podcast.
whatever, it's an expression. I think there's so many issues with it. The town just hates her out of nowhere. It starts out of nowhere.
Hmm.
It starts with the kid, but that kid comes out of nowhere, and it's just a dumb excuse. And I just think, I don't know, I cannot see myself seeing this again. I really
Oh, me
can't.
neither.
I could.
I'd watch it with people who've never seen it.
And I think
I would watch it again because I don't know. I feel like I
'Cause you're a
could
masochist.
I feel like I could possibly be persuaded into enjoying this film.
I
don't
wouldn't
wanna be
say I
persuaded.
didn't
No.
enjoy it.
Not necessarily persuaded, but I could definitely see me reading an analysis or watching an analysis that would give me a new light on how to view the film, and that could
explain.
potentially change my view. Because right now I didn't like it.
I don't like this
I'm
movie.
curious what your guys' scores would be.
I'll just give my score right now, 2 out of 10.
What's your score, Carter?
You guys are gonna think this is high.
Oh
No,
my
I think
God.
I might be
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Are you kidding me?
I was thinking 5.5, 6.
Jeez.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for all of the reasons I've
I
already
think I'm gonna
said.
go 5.5.
And I think I genuinely loved this film. I think from 6 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even say I loved it from that.
And I liked it
Because
for
there's still-
I liked the comedic aspects.
Yeah, the first half
man.
hour was very enjoyable because we thought it was hilarious.
Even from 6 to 9, though, I was laughing at unintentionally, like, funny things.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I didn't like Dark Water. You didn't like Dogville.
Again, if I had to rate this movie, I'd give it 2.5 stars.
I think I could.
I think I'm there too.
1 star out of 5. Follow
Plug our
me
letter-
on Instagram
Plug our
at.
letterbox.
Oh yeah, everyone.
Alright. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Movie Reviews. I post most of my movie reviews there. I'm kind of moving into Letterboxd, but I've only done one review, and I think it's Holy Mountain. And also, I have a Twitter, ncodia1, I think it is. I don't remember my Twitter, if I'm being honest.
Well, thank you for that. That was really helpful.
Follow me on Letterboxd. Shut up,
Whoa. I feel like I'm in
Mr.
Do the right
Blister.
thing.
That's my name on Letterboxd.
basketball Duncan.
All right, you know what? Okay. I might just follow me on Letterboxd, whatever. Mr. Blister. Some of the reviews say check my Instagram. It's Mr. Blister as well. So that's Mr. Blister.
I do all my reviews on Letterboxd. I'm kind of new to this movie reviewing thing. Mine are the two are sneering at me because I'm an amateur. I do music reviews, but we don't talk about that here.
We don't talk about music here.
We don't talk about music ever here. But yeah, John Pietrofeza. You won't be able to spell that. We'll put it in the description. We'll put all of our letterbox in the description to follow.
Alright, I think
That-
that's it.
I think we're done.
Wait, we didn't announce the movies for next week.
Oh yes.
Oh,
The
baby.
films for next week. So we're gonna go around the circle, each say our film, probably.
The Letter.
Or
The
should we
letter.
do
next
something-
week.
Should we do something new? Should we say our favorite movie from today's episode?
We can kind of infer that.
I think
by
we
our
all know.
scores.
Okay, whatever.
We'll do a movie of
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing, yeah.
Do the right thing.
Great job. Alright, I'll start with my movie. We got the letter O from the randomizer.
O as in
Octopussy.
O as in
Octopussy.
Oh brother, where art thou?
O as in one sings, the other does not.
Go watch them.
And then,
This might not come out a week from now. It might come out the same day as this one.
Yes,
Go
possibly.
watch them before you watch the next episode, or don't. We don't
Yeah,
care.
do what you want. I literally could care less.
I don't care.
It's up to you.
Venmo at John Kitchenbeza if you'd like to support the podcast. Right now we're doing this with no headphones or anything.
Yeah, if this audio's fucked up, we don't know.
Yeah, and
have
also,
no idea.
you know what?
You
Doesn't
probably
matter.
heard my dog in the background.
You probably heard me coughing in the mic.
Probably hear
I'm
my
sick.
All right, and we don't know how to
Sex
end the
slaves in the other
podcast.
room.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
bye.
Adios.